Well, hello everyone. My name is Chris, and this is
Birm.
right. And we're gonna try a little kind of tutorial video Q&A that I don't know, we're just dubbing it back and forth right now until we come up with a different name. Where basically one of us shows something really cool, and then the other person kind of asks questions and just have a little conversation. Maybe walk through a tutorial or um, just get suggestions from the other person, stuff like that. Just kind of like coding with a buddy type thing. Yeah, then we'll just see how it goes. So as I said, my name is Chris. I've been a software developer for the past 20 years or so. Right now, I run my own software consulting company called Saturday Morning Productions. But the last 3 years, I've been working with a company in the States called Corgi Bytes to help modernize legacy code. So that's been a lot of fun and been quite a good change of pace for me. I'd worked on some legacy code in the past, but working with them, just focusing on legacy code and old rail, mostly for me, it's old Rails applications has been a very welcome change of pace. And then and Birm, why don't you introduce yourself there?
I'm Birm. I am a still fairly new programmer. I've been programming just over a year now. I do full stack and React and with C# in the back end with .NET and a bit of Node.js as well now. But JavaScript is my main language, and that's kind of what we're talking about today. Some bit of JavaScript and React, and also Firebase, which is super cool. And I kind of wanted to share because Firebase is truly a cheat code.
Yeah, and I guess we should say I don't actually, I've never used Firebase before, and I don't know anything about React, and I know very little about JavaScript. So this will probably be me asking Birm quite a few questions, or Birm just showing me some interesting stuff. So I guess to start with, this is kind of a website you created, Birm, for getting book recommendations, right?
Yes, yes, that's a massive problem of mine. I want book recommendations. So if you want to send me some book recommendations, it's rex.page/Birm. And that's perfect place to recommend me a book.
Okay, well, I'm going to try and recommend you a book right now. So I'm gonna recommend you a book called Code by Charles Petzold, which is a great introduction, not to JavaScript or any programming languages, but just kind of more how the underlying hardware of computers works. And it does a great job of talking about bits and bytes and how you represent things using different codes. Like in our case, it's just ones and zeros, but they go through examples of using Braille and stuff like that.
Did you say Rail, like Ruby on Rail, or
No,
Braille?
Braille, like reading, like blind people reading with their fingers.
Oh, so that's basically, oh, that would make sense. That's basically code. That's super cool. But yeah, so this is all stored on Firebase. Firebase is a backend as a service, kind of does the authentication, uh, storage of these images, not these images specifically, this image specifically, but um, storage of the data that's on here. In Firestore, Firebase auth, and Firebase storage. It also does a bunch of other things as well. Like you can train AI models on it. It is owned by Google. So yeah, have you recommended it?
Yeah, I recommended it. So now this is live demoing. So hopefully it'll show up. I'm on your rex.page/Birm.
Yeah, it should show up because it's a Firebase. Firebase has a on snapshot, so it's live updating of the database. Do you see it here?
No?
I should really put it like right now. It's sorted based on
Oh, maybe because
Good.
I didn't click the book. Oh, okay. I think this was a user error.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I needed to click the book. Okay, because it shows the book up top. Okay, let me try this again.
So like
Uh,
world. It's not the best UI at the moment. That's probably why. Definitely need to work through it. But Yeah, I'm
So
getting all the data
I
from
clicked the book there. Okay. Did
Google
it do
API.
anything now?
Should show up now. Oh, right. I broke it. That's why.
You broke it. Oh, how did you
I
break
broke
your
it
site? Okay.
refactoring. I broke it refactoring. I still haven't. Damn, I still haven't fixed it. Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So one thing you're okay. Maybe this is where I'm not an expert in React, Firebase or React, but you should probably set up like are you coding live right now? Like, is this how does this work? Like, sorry, how do you do your production releases? Like when do you just push code to Git and Git will automatically publish it to Firebase live? Is that how that works?
What's going on here? Why is this new stuff here? So the way Firebase works is I just type Firebase npm run build, and then Firebase deploy, and basically that's it. So Firebase has a hosting service as well, by the way. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. So does Firebase have the ability to set up like a staging environment, or if you're working in a branch, this Firebase doesn't have the ability to just build off a branch, I'm assuming.
I could technically do I could deploy a branch on my local computer, but I just haven't been working in branches because I've been lazy. See, this is what happens when you have nobody looking over your shoulder. I have not. Here's the thing. I've been the only one using the app, so I've not really been bothering with it. It's bad, but I need to get better with it. But yes, this is the reason why. I was trying to refactor this to make it better, but yeah, I will definitely fix it. But anyways, like where should we get started? Because I'm not trying to find the bug
Sure.
right
Well,
now.
let's see if we can get your let's get your website up and running again. So if you have like if you run this in localhost, you have the same problem, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, like right now this is not localhost. This is localhost, and so let's see, what book do I want to recommend? First Law.
What site do you query to get the books from?
I use Google Books. It's an
Okay.
API. It's a really neat API. Where is it? It should be in recommendations. Add book.
It's just an open API you can just query. Oh yeah,
Yep.
cool.
So googleapis.com/books, and you just kind of put the title there, and it returns it. Super nice. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
All hail Google overlords.
Yeah, because Firebase is a Google product too, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so yeah, if you've tried to add that book, we're still gonna have the same problem, right?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Best written characters in fantasy. Oh. Yeah, it's not adding because yeah, it's not going towards the books.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get that fixed. So I actually, the first thing I'd recommend you do, Birm, I even when I work by myself, I always work in branches. It's probably a good habit to get into. So I don't know what source code control client you use, or did you just use the Git command line?
Yeah, I just use the Git command line. Git b.
So now you're gonna find out that I don't know the Git command line very well because I always use Git clients. But yeah, I would create a branch. Actually, Visual Studio Code might allow you to create branches as well inside of it.
Create local branch. I should know this. I've done this so many times, but well, we're learning. Google is our friend. Yeah, git checkout. That's the word I was missing. Git checkout. -b. Let's call this fix Rex. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Git checkout.
Okay, so the other thing I've noticed in there is you have a cache file. I don't know if you need to be committing that cache file to your source control, but I don't know enough about Firebase to know if you need to be committing that file, that .firebase. So let me
Up top, right? Yeah, that's a really good point. It always annoys me because after I deploy, it asks me to. Okay, where is the git ignore? There it is.
Yeah. So, but before you do that, don't ignore it yet. Delete that file first.
Which one?
Delete that.
This?
Well, it's just cache, right? So there's nothing in there. We can get rid of that thing. It'll get recreated, right? I'm assuming. No, don't add that yet. And now go down to your Git status there. Let's see the status of Git. It should show you. Yeah. So delete it. So we probably don't want to commit that books file. So just commit the fact that you deleted that one file, and then we'll add it to git ignore. Because the problem is if you add it to git ignore first, then you won't be able to delete it because it's an ignored file. At least that's kind of my memory of having that problem before.
Let's see if I can just do this.
And then again, I don't know the git command line very well, so I would recommend too that maybe you get a git client of some sort. Got
it.
Okay, so there's just the one in there. Yeah.
To I think
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so
now you can go to git ignore and add that .firebase folder in there. Yeah, there you go. Now you should be good. Now, when you run it, I'm assuming when you run the application again.
Oh, right.
It should. It's like, let's just test that. So try running that application again to generate that Firebase cache.
Oh, that's for oh well, wait 1 second. npm start. Do you mean npm started or because that's the build folder? I think that's the build folder.
Oh, that's when you do your deploy.
Or whatever.
Oh, okay. So I guess try and do deploy again because you just deploy. we deploy right here. We deploy to production all the time because we just live on the edge. I think you spelled deploy wrong there.
Yeah, that's what it comes with.
Okay, so now I created that .firebase. Now if you do so it looks like it's ignored. So because at least in Visual Studio Code, so if you go git status, it shouldn't show up there anymore.
Yeah, git status. It's not there anymore. I git add. Added dot.
Just git ignore file, something like that. Yeah.
Oops, yeah, I need to set up a branch for it. But okay, so so recommend.
So you probably want, yeah. So that's all good. Cool. Now what are you trying to do here?
So right now, the problem is that from submit add to Firebase is, what is add to Firebase? Add to Firebase function is creating the object. the book object. Why is that console log there? And then it's try cat trying. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was trying to mess around with recommendations and reviews. So that's why. Let me see here.
So
Because I
what's
was
the
trying to
difference?
refactor, move everything to. Let me just move this down here. Okay, so and because this file was getting a bit long for my liking, so I was
Mhm.
trying to split it up to post books
Uh,
and kind of trying to move it into here so I can just call a function and pass in the book like right there.
oh, okay. I got to say thumbs up for noticing that you needed to refactor. Uh,
It's a compulsive thing at this point.
cool. Okay.
I think I got it. I think I got it. And it's because props that add to Firebase. I was asking for props. I was thinking I would do a recommendation and a review. That's probably why.
So sorry, this is a kind of a question for another JavaScript effort. What is props again? Can you explain what prop? I see that
Okay, so
every
the
once in a while JavaScript, and I always forget what the heck it is. Like
props
properties,
is
I'm
the
assuming.
JavaScript thing. Props is in the JavaScript thing. Props is a React thing.
Okay.
So props is what you would like. What is a good example of this? Okay, yes. So map. This is a good example of it right here. Probably not the right example right here, but ignore ignore this stuff. This is just a really bad experiment. But okay, so right now, do you see how books and children right here?
hmm And that's like so in that's in curly braces. So does that mean like it's a hash or an array or something?
It's just deconstructed. So right now, instead of doing that, I could have just done like 1 second. So this book map is coming from. I think this is a better explanation if I just do it from here. So right now, um, have you worked with Angular?
Very
I don't know.
little, but like, yeah, I think I've dabbled in it like once. Because I can't remember. I was working on a project for like a day or something. So
Okay, right here. I think I got it perfect. I got a perfect one. So
okay.
right here, do you see this book right here?
The
And I click
open.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, and then open, but like the book is open, and
hmm
then um, like all like the model shows up, and then it has the book details of that specific book.
Okay.
The way that works is a display model, which is just a component here, and this is just a what shows up in the display model is children.
hmm
Children is a fancy way. Children is harder to explain, but a prop is a prop is a parameter to a function. All components are functions, and a prop is just a parameter. So as an argument for say book right here, as a map of book, I'm mapping through all the books, and I have a book component right here, and I'm passing each book as a component, each book as a parameter, as an argument here. So I'm mapping through all the books for each book. I want to create a book component, and I want to pass in book. And then where book component comes up is, this is the book component, right?
It looks like it's a constant book there.
Oh, it's book preview, isn't it? Hold on, where did I show it? Yeah, it's book, not not book preview. I don't know why book preview is still there. It's definitely be cleaned up. So it's in card. Oh, I know why. Because I removed book details from here. That's why there's book and then book preview under it. So it was supposed to be just a book component,
Mhm,
but see how book is showing up inside there. I'm
mhm.
kind of passing book component.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
So those are like arguments you're going to pass in there, a book and show.
yeah, and then the book is a object of data which comes from like a very high up the chain, which is in pages and dashboard. So this is the data that's coming back right here. So each of these is a book. Wait, yeah. So each of these is the ID of the book, the title of the book, the author of the book,
Mhm.
and everything of the book, and I pass it down to here where is the book map? Yes. So the book map is right here, and I pass the recommendations, or in this case, books, into here, and then that gets passed down each parameter. So a prop is a data that can be passed down. It's not mutable. You can't change you can't change the data. It only flows down. You can't go back up. You can do it in Vue, but not in React. But it only gets passed down and passed down and passed down. And it's a neat way to compartmentalize everything and kind of have like it's very good for refactoring when you can have like a lot of different components for everything and kind of like right now um, there is the whole dashboard, which is the whole homepage, and then there is a book map. The book map is where I just loop through all these books and I just make them show up, and then each of these is its own component and it's in a book.
So are like props the properties of all like all the properties in a component?
Can you rephrase that?
So like a component has you can pass in arguments. Is a props like all the arguments you passed into that component?
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's what it's called. Where it was props. Where did you find props? Yes. So the only reason I used props was because I didn't know how to do the deconstruction. So I passed it in as props here instead. If you see here, props dot. Um, so like props dot UID, I could have just done UID. I'm just let me just find where else props is used. So props dot UID, props dot add to Firebase, props dot add to Firebase. So those are only three of them right there. I can just technically do this UID and add to Firebase. It's just deconstructing it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and that would work. But yeah, so like that's just the cleaner way of doing it. So right now I can just say like right here, props, and then instead of having children, it's just like props dot children. But yeah, so like in Firebase, in React, each function, each component is basically just a function. There's class-based components, but like we don't like those anymore. There's no point of them anymore. Um, like class-based components, functional components have really taken over the past few years. So where was I? Oh right, so yeah, I just explained what props were.
Mhm.
And so I want to add this to Firebase, and I kind of wanted to see if props that add to Firebase was Rex, um, which was like add to Firebase was a, where is this coming from? This is coming from dashboard, isn't it? Oh, this is coming from bookmap.
So your props dot add to Firebase.
Yeah, so props that add to Firebase was a, I'm looking for recommend.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. So
right.
at the top level there, you have this. Everything's a constant for some reason, which I don't understand in React. So you have this const recommended, and that's where the props come from. So this is like your top level. Um, I don't know what to call it. This is a class. This is your top level class. And then inside, or component, maybe in React, is that what they're called?
Yeah,
And then
all components.
inside you have like a component called like pick book. You have debounce search, or no, sorry.
So yeah, those are just the functions. The component aspect of it is inside the JSX, which is inside the return.
Right. Okay. And then this props. So when you're calling, so is there any type safety? I'm assuming not. So there's no way to know like if that props actually has this add to Firebase property or method inside of it, right?
No, see, that's the problem with this. Yeah, so with you would get that with TypeScript, but not with JavaScript. No, it is a whole mess. But
So yeah, one thing I would recommend is I wouldn't call it add to Firebase, this method, because that's really exposing your underlying, excuse me, data structure, what you try to kind of abstract out. Like this would be just like kind of like maybe a type field or something, right? This would be like is it a recommendation or is it a review? Just calling like it in the off chance you ever switch to your database provider or something like that, like you switch from Firebase, this variable would make no sense.
yeah,
So yeah, so like yeah, we could probably rename that to something that makes a little more sense.
so that's the thing as well. That like I spent like an hour, not even like a day, messing around with that, but for some reason I could not get the value of this. So the way you pass props is by just putting it inside the JSX like this right here, and then you see how UID and then whatever, this is the argument for the UID. And what you name it right here is kind of what it shows up as a prop on the other side. So the add to Firebase, like the reason I wanted to do this was because I wanted to have two different tabs right here. A tab for recommended books and a tab for reviewed books. The books you have finished and you have reviewed. And you can kind of click back and forth like on Twitter. Like on here, you can kind of click in between them, right?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to have that type of functionality. And the problem is like, I need to pass that into me to tell that, to tell book maps that it's like not a review, it's book recommended section. But that whole stuff was kind of problematic because like it always comes back as undefined, and I could not figure out why. So I decided against it and tried a different tack, but like it's still kind of there because that's what happens. That's what happens when you get lazy. It was really frustrating, so I was like, I got sick of it and kind of moved on. But yeah, so that's I will get back to it. But that's why you kind of see like the parameter here, if it's recs versus reviews, is kind of, you can see the difference. It's like I want to add the parameter. Yeah, add the prop here. If the prop, it says like that kind of makes the sense of the logic. If add to Firebase equals reviews, if add to Firebase equals blah blah blah, recs in reviews, that's when it would call a different function. That's why it wasn't calling the function, because it didn't recognize add to Firebase at all. It was just undefined whenever it came through for some reason.
So
like
in your
right
add
now,
to Firebase, like up here, do you need the props, like where I put it there?
no, because in JavaScript there is this thing called a, oh, this is really good. This is a really good one because I've been studying this for interviews. Something called a closure. So in JavaScript, there's something called a closure, where a closure is simply that a function has scope of everything outside of it, but stuff outside it doesn't have the scope. They can't get at something and anything inside. So as a like nothing outside can have access to books rec because it was set in here. And by the way, the constant you keep asking, is just the new JavaScript syntax. We don't use var anymore because of like block scoping versus, I can't remember the difference, but I can't remember the name of it, but const and let are the ones we use.
Right.
And we
Okay.
do const all the time to initialize variables that are not going to change, and only use let when they're going to change. That's like the only type safety we have. And it's not even type safety. It's the best we can do, but we use let only when we know the data is going to change. But the rest of the time we just use const.
So this add to Firebase is basically, it's like a constant. So you're creating like an anonymous function or something. You're creating a function on the fly, but it's got
Oh,
no, it's
oh,
not accepting any arguments, right?
oh, you mean this line? This line right
Yeah.
here. Oh, that's how you write ES6 version of a function. That's just a regular function, not a
Right.
regular function. It's
But
a function.
it's not accepting any arguments here, right? Like there's no
No, it's not. No, because it's getting all the data it needs. It's already inside, like I mentioned with closures. All the data it needs is already there. So I mean, there's not really any point of like passing arguments. I mean, unless is that necessary? Is that a thing? Because
well, because I was
I
just at because the props things disappeared, but like if I thought you had to pass in, like I thought you would need props here and then down below or whatever
oh
you
no
would
no.
do props dot.
So props are only for the function level, like up here. Like not the function of props are only for components. Props are
Oh,
only for
okay.
components, not functions. Yeah, I may be wrong about this, but yeah, props are only mainly used to how you pass data from one component to another. But like functions inside props can be whatever they want. And since like this is how we keep count of state in React, we have these things called hooks, and like right there, I can just have access to a global, not globally, but like throughout the whole component, I have access to this state. And so like I don't really need to all the stuff I need is like within those right there. Like this is a use state, this is a use state, this is a use state, and this is a use ref. And so like it's all accessible up here.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm not passing any parameters
Into that method. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it also makes sense to like just because otherwise I would pass in all arguments from here, and it would have already had access to it anyways, so it's kind of like redundant to pass them in. I don't know though. I haven't actually seen whether it's good practice or not to do it.
Yeah, because one thing you want to do, you definitely want to minimize scope of any variables that you have. So like the smaller the scope of that variable, the better it is. Because if you have like global variables or variables with that you can access from anywhere, that just leads to problems because you'll have various parts of your code accessing that same global variable or that variable that's scoped incorrectly, and that just leads to bugs and problems. But this looks like so basically this is like a class, and these are like your class level variables like title, author, thumbnail.
They're scoped basically this function or this class, basically just here. Yeah. There's something called Redux we have to use to try and get any, because right now, like I mentioned, data really only flows down in React. We can't pass anything back up.
Yep.
And so the problem with that is like with props, it only flows down. And so if we want to have access to some like variables, like in other places that are not specifically in that branch, we have to use like Redux or context, or like there's some other global variable libraries. But yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So, all right, did deleting that if logic there, did that fix your problem?
I should. Let's see, Git.
Do you need to reload, or does it do hot reloading?
Yes. So as an npm library within React that does hot reloading.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's like right here. Oh,
yes, you don't need to start and stop the server. And do you need to refresh your web page?
Nope. Everything is like live.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the beauty of JavaScript. Well, front end JavaScript at least, because like with Node.js, you have to run it. But let's see, Birm, learn how to use it better and actually use it as well. Use.
Hey, there you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Oh, it even let me see. It even showed up on I have your website here on my local machine. It showed up. Cool.
So the thing about that is the cool part about it is something called on snapshot. Um, Firebase database kind of reloads live. Whatever changes happen, you can subscribe to it from here. Where would I be getting that? That would be on dashboard.
So actually, look, before you go too far, now that you fixed this bug, I would let's. So this is probably kind of a habit you probably want to get into. Now you fix this bug, let's compare what you wrote to what's currently in Git. So compare the two. Right, and it should show you, yeah, okay, so you just deleted those lines, so we didn't accidentally do anything else. And now I would probably commit that change, and then you can go about explaining.
Let's see.
So, that's interesting too. Okay, so the other thing I just thought of is that your local host is pointing to your basically your production database, because you made that change in your local host, and I saw it on my on my local machine, which is pointing to your like production website. So both of those. So again, maybe this will be for future chat. We will show you kind of how to separate out some of these databases. I guess Firebase you can't run locally, but you probably want like a development Firebase database. So when you're developing, you're not changing the live production database.
We actually did that for the last during my internship, but I wasn't fully involved in that process. So I will definitely to learn that. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Again, when it's your own side project, you get lazy. I definitely need to get good habits.
I know too. I'm saying all this stuff, but for my own personal website, I get a bit lazy too. Where sometimes I don't, because my website's pretty basic too. Maybe I don't use a branch. I'll push right to master, and then I have it set up so every time I do a push to master, it does a production build. But I'm just like, I'm just making a small CSS change, and then I do it, and then I go look, and I'm like, oh shoot, that doesn't display properly because I got lazy and didn't bother to test it. But when you're working like on a real system, like at a company or something, or for a client, like you would never do this, right? You would never have your local development machine pointing to the production database like that. So yeah.
In my last internship, we had 3 stages. It was like development, staging, and then production.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just we're going through those, and then the Firebase, the 2 different Firebases.
All right, so let's commit this change before we forget, and then
moved. Actually, I had to add something as well. I just realized that would be
well, again, let's do this commit before we do any other changes, because if you commit something, it's always easier to roll it back, right? Like you don't want to lose this logic. Like everything's working right now, so let's not lose this logic, right?
yeah. Let's not break anything before. Let's see what did I change? Removed. What did I remove?
I don't know, removed conditional review logic or review versus recommended or something.
Checked if it was a review or a recommendation.
Yeah. Cool. Now I'd recommend making your other change. So
where was it? Okay, so recommend is coming from dashboard. Okay, so that was trying to find these.
Oh yeah, because we don't.
Because these are the props being passed in, and they're not necessary anymore.
Right. Okay.
Okay, let's see where else that logic is coming from. So that would be in 2 pages. Oh no, just the dashboard.
So is there any way, I guess what you could do, like, if you wanted to, what is your component called? It's called recommended. I have it open here. Recommended, right?
Recommend.
Oh, recommend. Yeah. So if we just search, so let me see. If I search for recommend, is this case sensitive? Does that matter in?
I actually don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I only see it used in
Profile and dashboard, isn't it?
yeah, I said, well, in recommend.jsx and in dashboard.jsx. Yeah, so it's only used in those 2 spots. So you should be good.
I recently learned that trick of using it right here, using the search section to find stuff.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great search. Yeah.
I had so much headache with some CSS that I had no idea what little because I accidentally on purpose in the beginning kind of mixed in some not inline CSS but like Bootstrap, which is basically inline, and then separate CSS in a CSS file, and I could not figure out where the display flex was coming from on this little component, and so yeah.
Oh no, it's actually used. It's actually used in profile and user profile too, but it doesn't look like it's using.
Yes, user profile is kind of there because I want to. I'm trying to find some way to combine dashboard and profile page because they're technically the same.
Okay. It just my search took a long time because I think we're doing the live code. So when I search,
right, especially, and it's not on your computer either because you're just you're streaming it basically.
Yeah. Now, do you have this source in GitHub, or do you just have this on your local machine?
Could you rephrase that question?
Do you store do you do push after you do your commits? Do you push it to GitHub or some other repository?
Yes. I have it on my GitHub. I only have like 4 projects on my machine at any one time. Everything is on GitHub. It's gonna come to bite me back in the butt one day. But
okay, so yeah, so you have all those committed, right? So now if you can merge this branch, but have you used pull requests in GitHub?
Yes. Am I going to pull request my own project?
Well, the nice thing is it shows. So with the command line, I'm not sure. How do you compare 2 branches in the Git command line? I know there's a way, but it's probably not that nice to view the differences.
For merging, I would do it like I would git commit -u rec branch. Okay, I can't remember exactly the command. Should know this. I literally did this for like ages in like the last internship. But anyways, I would commit this to a branch on GitHub, and then from GitHub, I would like it kind of allows you to compare branches there and then kind of commit there as well. So I'm branching. I'm merging remotely, but like, yeah, I'm branching remotely. I can technically do a merge here as well.
Yeah,
but it's better to do it on GitHub.
Either way, I just find GitHub's a nice way to view all the changes for the file. But as long as there's some way, so before you merge 2 branches, usually what you do is you'll use some diff tool to compare the 2 branches, to see what they are. So in my case, I use like Git Kraken a lot, the Git client, and it has a built-in diff tool that'll show me the difference between two branches before I merge them. No, Kraken with a K. Yeah, there you go. So, but there's other, you could use the GitHub has a Git client that you could use. I think probably VS Code, I'm just not sure how, also has a way to probably compare branches internally. So it's just a good habit to get into, right? So like you made a bunch of changes to your branch, and then before you merge it in, you're just going to compare the two. Like, okay, did I change what I thought I changed? And if everything looks good, then merge it into master. And then when you end up working with a company on a team, what'll happen is you'll create a pull request or merge request. Sometimes they're called merge requests, like in other tools like GitLab, they call it merge request. And then someone else will review your changes. So you'll create a branch, you'll do your work in the branch, and before you merge to master, you'll ask someone to review their changes. They'll review it, probably find an issue or some recommendations. You'll make those changes into the branch again. They'll re-review it, and if everything looks good, then you'll merge it back into main.
Git merge request sounds way better, like way more. It sounds like what it's actually doing.
Yeah, I don't.
It makes no sense.
Pull request, I think, came from because Git. The idea is like someone forked your repository, and then they made their changes. Like they didn't make the changes in your repository. They forked it, made a branch, made some changes, and now they're saying, "Hey, pull my changes back into your repository." And I think that's why it's called a pull request in GitHub. But a pull request doesn't make as much sense if you're in your own repository and you create a branch and you just want to merge back into main, like it's all part of the same repository.
Merge request will work in both situations, though.
Sorry.
Merge request would work in both situations.
Yeah. It's just pull request has just been what GitHub had called it, and GitHub was the first and is still the most popular. So it's kind of what everyone just calls them. So
I mean, they changed it from like the main the master branch from master to main now. So I mean, like they can change that.
Yeah, and that was obviously driven by some of the like Black Lives Matter and stuff movement. Yeah, so you'll still find old repositories. Like I still work in several old repositories where the default branch is still called master, and it's just because sometimes it's tricky to rename them. But yeah, all new repositories you start now will be called main. So I probably use the term interchangeably, but I'll probably call it main and master back and forth, just because old habits die hard. But I've really been trying hard to always call it main.
Even some of my old projects came before that. So yeah, I was like, hold on, that's a bit confusing, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, why don't we merge your change back in to the main branch, and then you can push it live to production, and I'll try and add a book, and then we can call it good for tonight.
There we go. Git push -u.
So if you look at the bottom left in your Visual Studio Code, it has the name of the branch you're in right there. So it's called Fix Rex. Oh, and then what do you got? Sorry, what's your?
Okay, 1 second. There it is.
There we go.
It was origin, because it's telling me now it's going from Fix Rex to Fix Rex on
Yeah, and you can have a different branch name locally than you do on your remote or in your origin. But why you would do that is like there's got to be, I'm sure there's a reason every once in a while that people do, but if I would not recommend that because that's just going to cause all sorts of issues.
Yeah, let's just go. Fix Rex.
Yeah, and then if you go to that files changed tab at the top there.
Where?
So,
oh, right.
Yeah, right there. So this is, oh, got it. So this is where you can see all the changes to all the files, right? So this is where you kind of make sure that you only change what you want to change. And if like someone like me was reviewing your work, I would come in here and just look at these files changed. And then like if I saw any issues, I would add comments to them. So again, you don't have to push it to GitHub if it's just you working. I would just find a Git client or a diff tool that you could compare the two branches on your local machine if you wanted, but just something where you can see all the changes before you merge that branch. All right, so that should be merged. And now you can, if you run it in production, and then I'll try adding the code book again.
1 second. npm run deploy, npm run build, Firebase deploy. Give me a second.
Sure. All right, so if I refresh my page now, or your website here, add book. Okay, so I'll try adding code again. All right, so I'll click it. That's good. Who's recommending it? Me. All right. Oh, I see it now. Do you see it on your end? Yep. Oh yeah, there it is. Cool. Mine's in a different location than yours.
Cool. Yes, I need to fix it because it is a the sorting I did it's different for profile page and dashboard. So that will need to be fixed. You know,
well, that's good. We fixed a bug on your website. That's awesome.
Yeah, a bug created from lazy list. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. How are bugs created? Like laziness, just not knowing. Rushing's a good one. That's where I create a lot of bugs if I have to rush to fix something.
And a lot of frustration that day specifically because like that. I wanted to switch between like whether it's a recommendation or that, and then oh my god, that's
cool. Well, thanks, Birm. I think that was, I don't know, I found that interesting. So hopefully other people find it interesting as well. And yeah, we'll try another one of these. Maybe we'll keep working on your website, or we can find another tutorial or question to answer for a later video.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely more do a deep dive on Firebase, or not even a deep dive, but like actually just kind of walk through how Firebase kind of works and the services it offers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Okay, well, I'm going to stop recording now.